Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have some new stories for you today. Let's go to the first one, about OP, who invited her father's affair child to her wedding. OP's mom said she will be fine with that, but oh boy, she wasn't. Listen to the story to find out what happened at OP's wedding, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. 17 years ago, my dad cheated on my mom and got the woman he cheated with pregnant. Since he owned up straight away and was really regretful, my mom forgave him as long as he had no contact with the child except for paying child support. When the child was 13, her mom passed away and she went to live with her grandparents. She asked to have limited contact with our dad, and my mom reluctantly allowed it. She and I met and have been very close since then. This has always made my mom uncomfortable, so I avoid talking about her in front of my mom. Before my wedding, I told my mom I wanted my sister as a bridesmaid, and I said multiple times if she thought that would be a problem for her, she should let me know. My mom said she would be fine. Narrator voice. She was not fine. At the reception, one of my other bridesmaids told me she'd found my sister crying in the bathroom. When I asked my sister about it, she first tried to say she was just overwhelmed and she was fine. But after a bit of pushing, she admitted my mom had been saying nasty things about her, seemingly deliberately in earshot of her. Apparently, she heard my mom talking to my aunt about how rude and socially inept my sister must be to show her face there, and saying that my sister looks just like me, but more skanky, and that she obviously gets the skank genes from her mom. Obviously, I was not okay with my mom talking like this about my 16-year-old sister and her dead mother, so I confronted her. My mom denied it and said my sister must be lying to get back at her for stopping our dad from contacting her. My sister got upset and started trying to defend herself. My mom raised her voice and was telling me I needed to kick my sister out of my wedding. My sister continued to deny that she was lying, but told me she didn't mind leaving if it would keep the peace. I told my mom she needed to apologize for being rude about my sister or leave my wedding. She chose to leave, and both she and my aunt maintained that she never said anything about my sister. Now, a lot of people on my mom's side of the family are angry with me, saying I chose my dad's affair child over my own mother. I believe I was probably right that my mom was lying, mostly because it's not as if my sister came up to me accusing my mom. She was hiding in the bathroom to cry, and it took some convincing to get her to tell me why. I also think the word skanky isn't one a 16-year-old would think of, and my mom has used that word before. My mom, aunt, and grandparents say I should have believed my mom over my sister. My dad believes I shouldn't have tried to work it out at the wedding. He says I should have told them to cool down and avoid each other for the rest of the reception, which wasn't even a particularly long time, and talked about it later when we were all calmer. He thinks it was rude to kick my mom out of the reception. Well, OP's father is a complete wimp. First, he let his little head do the thinking 16, 17 years ago. Second, he let his wife separate him from his second daughter. Third, he still doesn't have the balls to stand up to that horrible wife when she's clearly a mean, vindictive, manipulative, lying. Well, you get the picture. OP's mom is doing what she has always done. Punished OP's sister for existing rather than face up to the fact that OP's father was a cheat. Well done for OP for sticking up for her sister. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Maggette says, not the a-hole. Wow, your mother and father are loathsome, selfish jerks. I wouldn't believe a word either of them said. Your father actually agreed to abandon his child? What? 22 says. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry, but your mom is an awful person. She chose to forgive your dad, but also forced a child to grow up without their father. That's beyond awful. Then tried to ruin your wedding. Just awful, and my heart breaks for your sister. Yachty Wannabe says, not the a-hole. Actually, you didn't kick your mom out. You gave her a choice. Apologize or leave. She chose to leave. Your mom may have had the moral high ground once upon a time, but purposefully hurting an innocent person makes her a mean-spirited witch of a human. So, my fiancé, female 34, and I, male 42, are about to be married in a week. Yay! We were having a very rare relaxing moment on the couch, given all the planning and errands that go into a wedding. As we're relaxing, her maid of honor calls. They're chatting, planning, and at one point, my fiancé just looked at me, still on the phone, and said, "Oh, hey, we have to give Lisa, maid of honor, a ride to the airport. Her flight's at 8 a.m. So if her flight's at 8 a.m., She needs to be there at 6 a.m. We live 35 minutes from the airport. That means I'll have to be up around 5 a.m. to get ready and make sure she's there on time. I said, really? We have to wake up at 5 a.m. the day after our wedding to give her a ride to the airport? How about I get her an Uber? Does that work? She gave me a death stare. I knew Lisa could hear what I was saying. I didn't care. I was completely put off by the fact that she would even expect that. Isn't the day after your wedding supposed to be sleeping in, and relaxation? My fiancé is from another country, has been living as a U.S. citizen for 13 years, has her license, but doesn't like driving on the freeway. That's why she's asking me to drive and we all go, my fiancé included. I guess Lisa's husband won't let her take an Uber because it's too dangerous by herself. We live in Portland, Oregon, not Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. Not sure if he really said that or what. I do like Lisa though, so I'm leaning on doing it, but am a lot, pissed. Still trying to find a way to get out of it and not feel like an a-hole. Am I the a-hole? There's no way I'd expect the bride and groom to take me to the airport the day after our own wedding. The fact she's expecting that is audacious. The fact that OP's fiancé is making OP do the drive because she doesn't like to drive the freeways, and her friend's husband is prissy about Uber is ridiculous. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Dre Nakarato says, that would be a big fat nope for me, not the a-hole. Why can't her husband take her? Janine 18 says, it's time for her friend to realize that she shouldn't ask people to do something for her at 5 a.m. At this time, people generally sleep, not the a-hole. C. Mary says, not the a-hole. That's a really rude thing to even ask. She's a grown-up. She can figure it out without bothering the bride and groom. Why did she plan her flight like that? Assuming all would be dropped for her convenience. Change the flight to later. Grab a cab like everyone else does. My 29 female, friend 28 female, let's name her Heather, has been married to her husband Matt for 2 years. They also have a 1-year-old daughter. Heather would typically date tall, muscular, tattooed guys. Her husband is a very nice guy, a great guy. I think he's handsome, but he's nowhere close to Heather's type. Now, Matt makes very good money. He has a very lucrative job and makes upwards of 6 digits a year. So Heather had told me during the beginning stages of their relationship that was one of the main reasons she was dating him. I did advise her against continuing the relationship if that was the only reason she wanted to be in it. They get engaged. She did manage to convince me at the time that money wasn't the only reason, and off they go to get married. So here we are, a couple of years later, and they have a beautiful little girl. Matt is as happy as he can be, thinks he's got a great life, a great wife that loves him, all that. Lately, Heather has started complaining to me that she doesn't find him attractive, that she doesn't want to have S with him, that she cringes when he touches her, and she's having a hard time hiding it, and she's only staying with him because she likes their lifestyle. Now, Heather has a decent job, and she could support herself, but definitely not at the lifestyle she has become accustomed to. Normally, I would have let it go, but recently she has confided in me that she has begun to talk to an ex-boyfriend of hers. Her typical type, a bartender, so not able to provide for her the way she would like, but she has been talking to him nonetheless, visiting him at work, texting. Nothing S yet, but I do think it is headed in that direction. I couldn't take it anymore, and I gave her a big fat I told you so. I called her a terrible person and a snake for being a gold digger. That she is essentially emotionally cheating on her husband, that will likely progress to physical cheating soon, and that she should leave Matt if she feels this way. But she won't because she likes his money. I'm sorry to say that I went off on her, which may have been uncalled for, but I think she is absolutely deserving of it, and she needed to be called out for her crappy behavior. She said I'm an unsupportive friend, and that I have no idea what it's like, and that I need to apologize to her if I want to keep her friendship. So, am I the a-hole? OP saw it coming. She chose not to, and she reaches out to OP as if she's trying to validate her reasoning and get approval from OP to cheat on her husband. Like OP said, she is a gold digger who is already emotionally cheating on him, and sounds as if she will be physically cheating soon. Who wants a friend like that? I hope the husband had set up a prenup, but it sounds unlikely. He also deserves to know. Rat Poison Cupcake says, definitely prepare the proper evidence and send it to the husband anonymously. The poor man needs to know, not the a-hole. Nochi says, not the a-hole. She is emotionally cheating on her husband. Hopefully Matt will see her for who she is sooner rather than later. Don't apologize. You gave an honest reaction to what she told you. She had to know what you were going to say. Dookie14 says, Not the a-hole. Your friend is 100% a gold digger, and you were right to call her out on her awful behavior. She's in love with his money and her lifestyle, not him. She wants to have her cake and eat it too, which is an extremely a-hole move on her part. If she can't stand being touched by her husband, then she needs to divorce him so he can find someone who is worthy of his time, effort, and love. Also, I particularly love it when people who get called out by friends for their crappy behavior default to, "You are being unsupportive." Being a good friend doesn't mean always being supportive to every crappy decision they made. A good friend should also call you out when you are being a complete a-hole and in the wrong. And if you consider them a good friend, you should probably stop and listen. My wife and I each brought a daughter from previous relationships into our marriage. Despite being only a year apart in age, our daughters were completely different, and that's why I'm here. My daughter has always been athletic and outgoing. Growing up, she played basketball, softball, soccer, volleyball, and even golf. In middle school, she picked up tennis and never looked back. I paid for her to have private lessons, and when she found out how much I was paying for those lessons, she decided that's what she wants to do as her teenage job. Now she's a junior, is one of the best players on her high school team, and teaching tennis lessons. She teaches elementary school kids and charges $75 per hour per kid. With her skills and outgoing personality, she has a waiting list of kids and makes around $1,200 a week. She could make more, but I limit her hours so that she can concentrate on school. My stepdaughter is reserved and not very athletic. We always tried to sign her up with the same sport and team with my daughter, but she either objected or quit a couple of weeks in. I get it, sports are not for everyone, so I never made her feel bad about it. She recently turned 16 and got a job at a burger place nearby. She's making $13 an hour and brings home less than $200 a week. My daughter recently decided that she wants to be independent by buying her own clothes and electronics with her own money. Obviously, she can afford the latest styles and gadgets. She recently bought herself a top-of-the-line Mac. My stepdaughter is jealous of her sister and has been very vocal about it. While we were in bed last night, my wife said it was unfair one is making so much more than the other. I answered that there's nothing we can do about it, and it's a good life lesson for the girls. My wife then suggested we have my daughter use her money to help my stepdaughter buy the same things, or we cover to pay the difference between the girls. I laughed because I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. We whisper argued for about an hour before we went to sleep. This morning she brought it up again and accused me, saying I'm refusing because I'm playing favorites, and that's an a-hole move for a parent. We argued until we had to leave for work. Melody Rain says, "Not the a-hole. What is fair is not always what is equal. Your daughter has skills that are in demand, and her salary reflects that. Your stepdaughter is starting out on a typical student career path, and her salary reflects that. Forcing your daughter to fund your stepdaughter would be the height of unfairness. Your wife needs to stop trying to turn your home into a crab pot and let her daughter figure out where her own talents lie." Heir of Ravenclaw says, "Not the a-hole. Your stepdaughter shouldn't benefit from her stepsister's hard work just because. Your wife is silly to even suggest that your daughter should have to pay for anything regarding her stepsister. Outrageous to even think it, let alone say it out loud. You're not playing favorites. If your wife gets her way, all she will do is breed resentment from your daughter to her stepdaughter." Guard Llama Mama says, "Not the a-hole. Why would you punish one child to benefit the other? It's a good lesson for both girls. The one who makes less is learning she needs to learn valuable skills to pay for what she wants. The one who makes more is reaping the benefits of consistent effort. I do think you should look into getting your stepdaughter lessons in things that interest her, not just what her stepsister is doing. Help her try some things out. Maybe buy her a few things so she doesn't feel quite so left behind, but not as nice as what your other daughter is able to buy herself." My husband and I are in our mid-30s and have been married for 10 years. I'm, very obviously, expecting our third child, but we've been going through quite a rough patch. Last week, my toddler and I brought lunch to his work. This is the first time we've been there, and ate with him in the cafeteria. A few people he knew came in and he said hi and talked briefly. Then his boss, male, came in and my husband introduced me as his girlfriend. He actually said it twice. His boss said something along the lines of, "Is this your wife?" And my husband responded with, "She's the girlfriend," twice. I was too surprised to do anything, but gave a small forced laugh and made some small talk. When I later mentioned to my husband that I found it hurtful, especially in light of our recent difficulties, he said he was just joking and finds that sort of thing funny because of how absurd it is. I said that it wasn't funny to me. His boss and him aren't even particularly close, that they would be making this sort of guy jokes with each other. He finally sort of apologized after I brought the issue up a few times, but I don't think he understands why I find it strange and hurtful. I need some perspective. Am I just being overly sensitive, or is it weird to introduce your wife as your girlfriend? Edit. We are having problems, but the statement was meant as a joke, not to hide cheating. At least not from his colleagues, but I am quite sure he is not cheating. His boss and colleagues know he is married, has kids, and is expecting a baby, so it was obvious I was the pregnant wife. To me, it just seemed like one of those jokes that aren't really funny, like he wasn't really happy saying I'm his wife. He also said it was funny to him after, not really recognizing why it might be hurtful to me. So I could just be sensitive, and guys make this kind of joke all the time, hence the need for an outside perspective. Bingo's Bear says, not the a-hole, jokes are supposed to be funny, but no one was laughing. He's telling other people that you're not married, and pretending you're not married at work is a classic sign of cheating. I'm not saying he is. I think he needs to be more aware of what this behavior could imply. KGL IRS says, not the a-hole, but for a later occasion, you might want to just roll with it and go like, wait, I thought I was your mistress. Have you told your wife about this yet? Or shut him down. We had our 10th anniversary last spring, fall, but he's still a goofball. If you're 10 years married with 3 kids, I'd say you're well into joke territory. But, of course, if you're having relationship trouble, it's a joke in poor taste. Mistakenly Mad 23 says, not the a-hole. That is very hurtful, especially since you've had problems lately. Even if he wasn't intending to be an a-hole by joking, he would still be an obvious a-hole. I don't think you should feel bad at all.